Hello friends, Sergio Gomez here. Welcome back to episode number 2 of Breakfast with Sergio. This is episode number 2. I'm super excited. And today I'm going to talk about why you need to tell your story as an artist. So, my friends, I want to first welcome you to episode number 2 of Breakfast with Sergio. Yesterday was episode number 1. It was awesome, had a great time, and it was fun to see many of you kind of showing up as I did the live video. Episode number 1 already has about 700 views or getting there, so pretty excited about that. Hopefully this one will get more. So please, if you like it, share it with your friends. That's how I will keep doing this. Now, some friends ask me, how long or how many days are you going to be doing this? Are you doing this every day that you have breakfast? And the answer is no. Definitely not on weekends. And I'm just going to do it during the week, maybe 3 times a week or so. Depends, how things go, how things roll on a given day. Next week, hopefully I'll be doing some live from Mexico City and from Cuernavaca, where I will be for my solo show there in Mexico. But today, for breakfast, it's kind of healthy breakfast day. It's a really awesome egg white breakfast with tomato and on a tortilla, on a corn tortilla. So you kind of lightly fry the corn tortilla, make the eggs, put them on it, and it's delicious. It's the best thing in the world. So I love to make this probably about once or twice a week. Highly recommended, super good, super easy to make, and super tasty. And you can put vegetables if you want. Like this one is just egg white, so it's super, super good. But today, again, I'm not going to talk about breakfast. I want to talk about art. And what I want to talk to you about is telling your story. Are you telling your story as an artist? I think it is very important to tell your story. If you want more people to connect with you, to connect with your art, with the things that you make. Hey, good morning, everybody. Share your breakfast. What are you having for breakfast this morning? So if you want to connect with more people, if you want to connect your art also to a larger audience, you have to tell your story. Just because we have social media and everything is so fast and quick doesn't mean stories are not important. Remember, stories have been around since the first day that human beings have been on this earth. The stories is what kind of keeps on, the past into the present. Stories are so important, and as artists, we need to tell our stories as well. You as an artist, you have a story of why you make what you make. Where did you came from? Where are you at right now in your career? Tell your story. Your story is very important, and this is something I really encourage artists to do. And this week in my community, I ask artists to tell their story, to actually make a page in their website that says my story, and take time to write your story. And this is something I did as a test maybe 2 years ago. I wanted to see if really people were interested in stories. So I did a page in my website, and I call it my story. And not only I made the page, I put it very prominent on my website, and it's still there. It's been there for 2 years. As you land on my page, one of the first links you see is my story. It's a little button that says my story. Well, and I run statistics. I put a click count program on my website, so I know exactly where people click first when they arrive to my site. And to my surprise, the number 1 link that people click when they go to my website is on my story. So that tells me that people are still interested in stories. They come to see my art. Of course, they want to see the art, but they also want to see the story. And in fact, before they click into my art, most people click into my story. How cool is that? Well, that tells me, and again, statistically speaking, looking at the stats on my website of how people are as soon as they land, where they go next, is that people still respond to stories. People want to read your story. So if you're an artist and you're not telling your story through your website, through your social posts, through the things that you do, you're leaving something could be really cool behind. Another great story about stories is that once I put my website and I put my story, and it's still there. If you go to my website, you go sergiogomezonline.com, you'll see that the first link you'll see there is my story, and of course you have all the other ones, but it's very prominent there. One curator a couple years ago that gave me a solo show, beautiful gallery, and talking to him afterwards, I asked him, how did he find out about me? Because I was interested about that, and also, what moved him to put me into the show. And one of the things he said, when I went to your website, I was already following you for a while, and then I read your story, and that just kind of connected me to you and to your work, and said, we gotta have this show. So that's the power of story. Hadn't I have that story in my website, maybe I'd never had that show. And actually in that show, I did a live drawing, which is about 185 inches wide, super huge, and that drawing is traveling through Mexico this year. So again, it's one little thing, one little effort that led to so many other things. So tell your story, my friend. If you're an artist, if you're watching this right now, think about what's your story. Everybody has a story. Sometimes people think like, well, my story is kind of boring. I don't have really an interesting story. We all do. We all have interesting story. Where you grew up, where you came from, how you became an artist. It's fascinating. Today, if you are a kid and you want to become an artist and you don't know what artists do, you just go to Google and you search what do artists do, or how do artists make a living, and you get hundreds of replies. Probably, if you're watching this video, if you're in Facebook, most of us older people are still in Facebook. If you're in Facebook, you remember the day when there was no internet, right? When you decided to become an artist, or when you felt that this is what you wanted to do, and you didn't know where to start, you didn't know exactly what to do. Maybe you were young and you had no idea what artists made. You just knew you wanted to be one. And so that's an incredible story. How did you jump from there on? Let me tell you a little bit about my story really quickly before I get back to my delicious breakfast that I shared earlier with you. I was born in Mexico, Puebla, city of Puebla, about 2 hours from Mexico City, and then moved to Mexico City. My parents were in Puebla for a while, then they moved back to Mexico City. That's where I grew up until I was 16. And at the age of 16, my parents, who were church pastors, their church transferred them to United States, to Chicagoland area, and that's when I came here. I was 16 years old, the age of my son right now, interestingly, and I was 16, and I didn't want to come here because all my friends were there. By then, I knew I wanted to be an artist, but I didn't know how, that worked. Again, it was before the internet, before cell phones. We cannot Google stuff up. And in Mexico, I actually never met a living artist. So I had no idea that you could actually become an artist, So when I came here to the United States and went to high school for my sophomore and senior year, learning the language, and the only thing I knew how to do was to draw, right? That's the only thing that kind of interested me. So I took all the art classes. I was in art school, in art class in high school, and my high school teacher took it upon himself to say, Sergio, it looks like you like art. Why don't you consider an art career? And I said, I don't know, how do you do that? I don't know any artist. Can you actually pursue a career in art? And he said, yes, you can. And so he kind of gave me a roadmap. He showed me the way, to go and to enroll in college, because I didn't even know how to apply for college. We didn't even have money for college, for goodness sake, back in the day. So it was that decision that I still remember very clearly when I said, well, maybe this is possible. Maybe become an artist is something that I could actually do and pursue. And then I told my parents, right, I want to become an artist, and I want to study art. And of course, the first question is like, and what are you going to do? What does that mean? Where are you going to work? Where do artists work? We cannot Google it because Google doesn't exist. So, what are you going to do? And that was the first big question that challenged my notion of what do artists do and what is an artist as well. So, your story is very important. I went through art school, I finished art school, and then I went through a period of 2 years in which after school, in which I hated every work I made. Maybe you've been there before, maybe you are there right now, where, as I started my career, I hated every painting I made. It was 2 years. I was working 9 to 5 doing graphic design for a marketing company in Chicago and downtown, and it was absorbing all my time, all my energy, and I was still making art in my garage, ugly looking garage, cold and ugly, but I was still making stuff, and I hated every single work I made for 2 years, but I just kept at it. And so if you are there right now, maybe you're an artist who, maybe you are in a time where it's just not working for you, or things are just not happening the way you want. You gotta keep making work. You cannot give up. If you give up, that's the end of it. You have to keep working. You have to keep making, even if you don't like it, even if all you have time is to make something on a napkin every morning. You gotta keep making. You gotta keep working. That's what kept me going. If I had given up after that, I probably would still be doing the same job that I hated to do. I kind of like the job, but I just hated to be giving all my life away to this company that was just sucking all my energy 9 to 5 or 9 to 7 because they were long days most of the time. So if you want to hear the rest of my story, how I got out of those 2 years of art sucking time, don't miss my next episode of Breakfast with Sergio Gomez, which I'll probably do Monday or Tuesday because I'm not going to do them over the weekend. But you see, that's the power of stories, right? I just told you a little bit of my story. I just told you a little bit of how I started in my art career, and how I all stories have a good maybe a good beginning, but all of our stories or lifetime stories, we have ups and downs. And when you share that with the world, how you went through one of those rough times, which I have gone through many, it's inspiring for people, and people love that. So when they read my story and then they look at my art, there's a deeper connection. And so I want to challenge you, my friend, if you have never told your story, and it's up to you how much you say. You don't have to say everything about your story. You can pick and choose what's your story, what you want to say about your story, and you edit. You are the curator of your own story. So you tell your story the best you can, however you want, whatever you want to share, whatever you're comfortable with sharing. And it's actually liberating. It's actually liberating to tell your story, the good times and the bad times, and just keep pushing, my friends. Tell your story in your post. Maybe next time you put out an artwork, don't just put the artwork by itself. Maybe tell a little bit of the story, how that artwork came about. Not exactly what it means, because we want people to get into it and read what into our work, but what was happening maybe in your life. I have a piece that I made, for example, when a period in my time that was very difficult. I was very sick. I was getting vertigo episodes just about every week, and I was down for days. I couldn't make art for just about a whole year, because of that. And then I made a piece about that, about that struggle. And actually that piece sold right away after that. And it hangs right now in a collector's home in Chicago. It's called Vertigo. So my friends, tell your story. I want to challenge you, tell your story. It's a great way to spend maybe an hour or two this weekend. Sit down in a quiet place while you're having your breakfast and tell your story. And I think you will find it fascinating, liberating, and I think you will find that people will connect with you and with your art a lot deeper. So thanks for watching episode number 2 of Breakfast with Sergio. And if you liked it, please share it with a friend as well. That would be awesome if you can help me with that. Share it with a friend. Just click share and say, it's cool video, watch it. And if you want to follow me on Instagram, follow me at Sergio Gomez Projects so you can see what happens in between episodes. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for watching. Have an amazing weekend. Thanks, everybody who's here live and sending me the messages and encouragement and your breakfast that you're having. So I'm going to go ahead and have my eggs with tortilla and tomato, which is delicious. I can't wait for that. So thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you later. Bye.